going on, Jerome's? So, with all the drama that went down with Trey Lance and the San Francisco 49ers this offseason, culminating in him being traded to the Dallas Cowboys for a fourth-round pick, the question is, why weren't the Minnesota Vikings in? Where Trey Lance, yeah, he is super raw. Yes, he does need a lot of work, but he has the traits and the abilities that you're looking for, and he's a big-time project. He is an absolute big-time project, but the Niners, they didn't have the time of day to sit and let him marinate. He also had some bad luck last year with a broken ankle. He won the starting job last year from Jimmy G, and the rise of Brock Purdy, and the Niners are in win-now mode. They don't have time to sit and let a quarterback grow and show like Bryce Young's going to do with the Panthers this year, who are going to be bad, like Richardson is going to do with the Colts this year, who are going to be bad, the Stroud and the Texans this year, because the Texans are going to be bad. Frankly, Trey Lance should have gone to a horrible team, because then he would have gotten the reps in to either sink or swim. He never really got the time in San Francisco, and like I said, they're in win now mode, and Brock Purdy, he is better for what they want right now, because all Kyle Shanahan wants is a game manager. That's why Kirk Cousins and Kyle Shanahan got along so swimmingly in Washington. But yes, why didn't the Vikings bring in Trey Lance? And it goes beyond the fact that he's a pride of Marshall, Minnesota, who's not offered by the Gophers. Good job, PJ. And also NDSU Bison. It goes beyond that. We said before, if his name was Bartkowski from Paducah, Kentucky, and he still had those traits, and he still was a former number 3 overall pick, yes, Vikings should and could be in on him. It's not just a local angle there. But Diana Rossini of ESPN tweeted this out. Blah, 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 blah. The Athletic. There you go. While Trey Lance market is quiet for now, the past spring, the 49ers and the Vikings had serious conversations about a trade for Lance, but talks fell apart, according to league sources. Now, there's a couple things at play there where, yes, the Vikings could have been interested in Trey Lance before the draft, but remember, the Vikings only had 5 draft picks rolling on in, so parting ways with one, even a late pick, would have been a little bit costly. And also the price tag, I'm sure, was higher before the draft with John Lynch and the 49ers, because Sam Darnold hadn't established himself. Brock Purdy hasn't shown that his UCL was good to go. So I'm sure that the asking price for Trey Lance was a lot higher, maybe even a second or third round pick. The Vikings obviously didn't have a second rounder, so that's potentially why talks got shelved. But then she continues after the trade. The Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens are 2 teams that had conversations with San Francisco about a possible trade for Trey Lance. In the NFC, the Detroit Lions also showed interest per sources. Most of the early discussions about a trade involved a 6th-rounder that could get to a 5th. In the end, the Dallas Cowboys offered the best deal. Now, what's interesting is that all 4 of those teams have a established starter, and Jared Goff with the Lions will be the weakest one of the 4. But Dak with the Cowboys, even though Dak's kind of on shaky ground, but obviously Josh Allen with the Bills and Lamar Jackson with the Ravens. And what's interesting is that they were willing to discuss parting ways with a late round pick to get a very interesting project on the books and a quality backup. Plus, I think Trey Lance in the Ravens offense or the Bills offense would be pretty damn good. And just going from there. But Kevin Seifert, ESPN, continues that the Vikings, even though they did reportedly have interest before the draft, weren't interested this time around. So Kevin Seifert, go. The Vikings were not in on the Trey Lance talks at all yesterday. He may have been in consideration before the draft, but they are invested now in 5th-round pick Jaren Hall. Kevin O'Connell today on Hall. I would definitely like to keep him around. My philosophy when you're going to draft a quarterback is you pour into him on a daily basis. Development is a huge word, but I love the fact that we got him as many reps as we did this camp. And that's the thing, too, where I feel like a lot of fans are just completely impatient, and it's the microwave culture versus the crockpot culture. It's like, hey, if a guy doesn't come in and doesn't win the QB2 job and then eventually start and isn't a Pro Bowler right away, he's a bust. What's the point? But now, all benefits in life come from compound interest, and the more time that you invest in one of these guys, especially a player that is very clearly absorbing a lot of the knowledge, and you saw Jaren Hall improve day to day in training camp, game to game in preseason, once he actually got some protection, minus the second half against Arizona, and he's shown some traits that are really, really good. Seifert, who is not Carl Gershman, I almost forgot that, continues. I feel like Jaren has a really, really good understanding of our offense, where he can grow, and show, where his comfort level can grow and show, and hopefully hit the ground running the next opportunity that he gets. Hall played all of today's game, starting off sharp as second-team offensive line. So Jaren Hall got to play the entire preseason game. No Jordan Ta'amu, but yeah, I mean, Jaren Hall, even though, yes, he is a fifth-round pick, the Vikings obviously see a potential and a future with him. Where, I mean, Kirk Cousins was a fourth-round pick. Slinging Sam Howell of the Commies was a fifth-round pick last year, and he's taken over in year 2. So I wouldn't write off Jaren Hall, and I think that he has shown enough in training camp and that last preseason game when he actually had some protection playing with the twos that, hey, he could have a potential in this league. He delivers a very accurate ball that allows his receivers to make a move after the catch. He's got patience. He's got good pocket awareness in general. He's always looking downfield to make a play. He can run when he needs to. His mobility is a plus. Again, he's a quarterback who can run. He's not a running quarterback. So I think that certainly did factor in the Vikings in action with Trey Lance. And, of course, Kwesi and John Lynch go way back like chiroprac, and maybe Kwesi got some inside info. Maybe John Lynch was like, Kwesi, I like you a whole lot, so let's not even discuss this, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, that could be a route that they went down as well. Or besides a faith in Jaren Hall, maybe they realize that Kirk Cousins and his Fu Manchu is going to play like 3 or 4 more years. So maybe the succession plan can be put on the back burner for now, and no Panther Trey Lance. Maybe it just didn't make sense for the Vikings right meow, even for the low price of a 4th-round pick. And the Vikings do have 2 4th-rounders, but it sort of is what it is in that spot. But your thoughts are thoughts. Why weren't the Vikings in on Trey Lance this time around, especially when they showed interest earlier, reportedly? Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.